We are here in Cologne for Gamescom 2024, and we have just played about an hour of Delta Force Hawk Ops.
Yes.
Yes, the upcoming free-to-play tactical multiplayer shooter.
Yeah, it's a bit of everything. It's got like extraction modes, there's an upcoming campaign, but the bit that we played was basically, I mean, we'll call it what it's their Battlefield mode. A lot of people have already compared it to Battlefield. It's definitely trying to snatch back some of that Battlefield audience, especially the ones that are still a little ornery with how 2024 released. Like, that game has come a long way since release and made some changes, but this is very much a Battlefield-esque experience.
Yeah, and it's using the Delta Force brand.
Yeah, it was weird when the game was announced because I was like, I played Delta Force Ground Warrior when I was like 11.
Yeah.
And not a lot of games have come out within that brand. There's
It's
also
an old brand.
Yeah, the original studio Sierra doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah. And back then it was a fairly grounded tactical shooter.
Yes, it was sort of. Yeah, it was one of the earliest tactical shooters, I would say.
So you can see why they've used that brand name. However, there are a number of elements in this which are, I would say, maybe aping some of the more controversial parts of Battlefield 2048. So Delta Force used to be quite a kind of tactical, grounded experience. They've used the name, but this, I would say, is taking some of the slightly more controversial elements of Battlefield 2042, most notably heroes and gadgets, right?
Yeah, the gadgets became sort of controversial in 2042 because they were taken out of their classes, like medic, the support. So they've learned from that. There are, assault class, support class, medic class, recon class. So they are within those trees. I'm conflicted by them because some of the gadgets work really well. Like, the medic has a set of drones that can deploy smoke in a line, which is really handy for blocking off paths of egress or incoming fire, so you can revive someone. There's also like bow and arrows and shock darts and things like that, and that's where I'm not super sold on that specific element, which is, I'm sure I'll come around to it, because the fundamentals of the game already are super strong. The gunplay is fantastic, the element of teamwork between vehicles, different classes, assaulting positions from different angles works really well. So the core shooter element of it is great. The selection of weapons, obviously, doing the content that we do, I was looking at what kind of weapons there are, the customization available. Yeah, absolutely. All of that works super well. It's really solid. The gunplay aces, considering the stage of development that we're in as well. And I think that's what people are gravitating towards now, is how good it feels. I am curious as to how that will develop when more of these classes turn up, when more of these gadgets become available, because I think it's going to be a game where it's easy to pick up, easy to succeed by just being competent at a first-person shooter, but the diversity of gadgets is going to vastly increase the skill ceiling. Like, we were playing on this demo, and it was only 20 minutes in, and people were, combining bow and arrows that would ping people in a circle, and then combining that with artillery call-ins to make sure they were hitting the right targets. So you can see the meta already in place, or the potential combination of skills already there for players to start sinking into, which is great. But one of my worries with the game is that it might have taken a few too many things from a few too many shooters. There was a little bit of Rainbow Six Siege in there in terms of some of the gadgets, some of the, like, going for a tactical shooter, at least with the sort of Battlefield-esque mode, having those gadgets that are a bit Rainbow Six Siege felt a little odd, but again, to their credit, it is something new. It's the way they've developed the Battlefield formula for their own game, so maybe it's just a case of getting used to that.
Feels like, to me, a little bit like, I used to play Rainbow Six Siege, I know you did as well, for quite a while, and it runs the risk of becoming one of those games where if you don't play it for a couple of months, you suddenly come back in and trying to get reacquainted with all the new heroes and gadgets and the meta, or it's going to be too intense of an experience to then like be able to get your way back in. We only played it for about an hour, and it is not enough time, I would say, to really get to grips with everything that the game is going to offer.
No, and again, it's very early in development. There's closed access at the minute, but despite just a little time with it, I did immediately feel a couple of lives in, after getting a couple of kills, the sort of Battlefield inner child within me that's been present in this form since 1942, the game, not the year, I'm not that old, like that sort of came awake again, and it was very much scratching that itch, and I think it is going to capture a lot of that audience, and it's trying to capture other audiences as well, like the extraction shooter. We didn't get to play any of that mode, but the fact that that exists.
I played one round of the extraction mode. It was a disaster. We'll leave it at that. I think what it has going for it is the fact that visually it's very, very good looking.
Great looking game.
And it feels like the fundamentals, the building blocks of it are really solid. Like you said, the gunplay is really good. It seems to run very well. It's just whether or not people kind of latch on to the way that is all packaged up.
And that's the thing, I think if you're someone that doesn't want to use like the Rainbow Six Siege-esque gadgets and doesn't want to play the extraction mode, there's still a great Battlefield-esque shooter there for you. It feels like pick a mix. So if you're a shooter fan, there will be bits and pieces that you can really, really get into and really, really enjoy and really succeed at. It's just whether, like, just how much that crosses over, like what the Venn diagram is between all those audiences. But it's really exciting to see it even in its current stage. Like, it came out into the closed access, a lot of attention, a lot of enthusiasm behind it, and I think it is well deserved. Like I said, it feels great to play. It's going to be interesting to see how it develops when it releases into open beta and goes full release. The free-to-play model, we're in a position now where Arena Breakout, for example, took a lot of attention from Escape from Tarkov, but because of their free-to-play model, it caused a little backlash. So I think that's something that they're going to really have to examine to see if they can retain their player base. And like I said, will they be able to get a player base that can go and come back as easily? Like, I could jump into Battlefield 2042 now and feel okay. But I see what you mean when you said if I played this for a month and then didn't play it for 6 months. I can see that there are so many systems in place, which on one side is really cool because there's so much in the toy box of Hawk Ops to play with, but coming back to that after a break will be interesting. But for now, the game is super solid. I'm super excited to play more of it. Like, this was just a taste. If you're someone that loves the Battlefield games, this is definitely something you should check out. If you're just someone that enjoys first-person shooters in general, there is going to be something in Delta Force Hawk Ops for you to enjoy and latch onto. And there's not a lot of games that can say that.
Yeah, you're very good at nailing the name every single time because it's got no sticking power for me at all.
Shooters are my thing.
Delta Force Hawk Ops.
Yeah.
There's also the campaign mode, which was not available to play, which has that weird kind of Black Hawk Down.
There is a like a Black Hawk Down Mogadishu level somewhere. It's not super clear where that comes in or how that's going to play. Again, that'll be interesting to see when it comes out, if it leans more into the gameplay of something like Squad, for example.
Yeah, so that's actually a good comparison because Squad is definitely, from what I played, much further down the sim, like mil sim route. This is trying to kind of thread a needle around the sort of Battlefield area.
And I think depending on the game mode, we could see it weaving in and out of that within the same game. But obviously, it's very early to tell yet. It's still closed access. There is a lot to be excited about, though. So if you like first-person shooters, you like the sound of Delta Force Hawk Ops, we'll have more for you about that game, as well as everything at Gamescom 2024 here at GameSpot.